Cavalcade Theater. Brought to you by DuPont, makers of better things for better living through chemistry. Nearly everything in our daily lives is improved by chemistry. From transportation to the clothes we wear. Chemistry helps bring us better food, makes our homes more beautiful, more comfortable, helps protect our health, and adds to the enjoyment of our leisure time. Now, tonight's story on the DuPont Cavalcade Theater.
Mr. Hare?
Yes, Miss Lily?
There's a letter for you from Washington, D.C.
Oh, I better read that.
I already have.
You're very kind, Miss Lily, saving my eyesight the way you do.
A husband and wife don't have secrets from each other, Mr. Hare.
What do the fellows up there have to say?
They aren't saying, they're asking.
About what?
Stamps.
Let me have the sum and gist of it, Miss.
They want to know up in Washington how come a town of 628 people increased its stamp purchases $1,600 in a year, which automatically increases your salary $200 a year.
Do you suppose, Miss Lily, they're accusing me of scooting off to Atlanta and drumming up stamp business just to raise my salary?
They don't say so in so many words.
Now, you better dust off the old notepad, Miss Lily. I got me a letter to compose. Dear Muckamuck, or whatever the fellow's name is that signed the letter. Regarding your letter of this instant...
That doesn't even sound like you, Mr. Hurd. Why don't you tell the letter the way you talk?
The reason we're buying more stamps in our town now is because, well, because of a big man and small babies. We ain't a very big place, Duluth. Just 628 of us. Of course, on Saturday, it gets a little higher. Our town ain't very much when it comes to measuring. The Peachtree Road stretches clear out from Atlanta and beyond us. Ain't much to us, but I can remember a few years back when we seemed to be all overcrowded. No way for people to make a living. Not enough work. Nobody had any money. All they could do was stand around, chew tobacco, talk about congressman, bull wheel. I suppose that's about the time that it began. On Sunday morning, out at Dick Hull's dairy farm. And like a lot of beginnings, this one began in pain.
Good morning, Henry.
Good morning, ma'am. Can I speak to the boss?
Well, of course. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
Won't you sit down?
No, thank you, ma'am. I'll stand. I couldn't sit down.
Dick? Oh, Dick.
Yes, dear. Right there.
Aren't you feeling well, Henry?
Well, I'm fine, ma'am.
Well, something's wrong. You're in some kind of trouble.
Yes, I am.
Oh, good morning. What's wrong, Henry? What can we do for you?
Well, there isn't anything that anyone can do, Mr. Hull. It's my boy, Olin. He's dead.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry, Henry. I'm sorry. Is there anything we can...
Wednesday, he just started burning up terrible with fever. I was going to take him to the doctor, but I couldn't get around to it. I didn't have no money to go clear into Atlanta for a doctor.
we'd have given you the money.
Why, certainly.
Why didn't you come to us?
Miss Hull, folks has to do things for themselves. And when my time come, I couldn't do anything. Like most folks around here, I guess. Olin died during the night while I was holding him. I just can't work today, Mr. Hull. I come to tell you.
I understand, Henry. We'll be over to see you later.
Yes, sir.
After church, the Hulls got hold of Kate Parsons. She's the storekeeper's wife. In fact, the store's known as Miss Kate's. All it was and all it will be, I guess.
Let's see, you'll need a pair of blue pants, underwear, socks.
And this white shirt, Miss Kate.
That's real good quality.
That's what we want.
Land sakes, during his life, that boy never had a white shirt as good as that one.
Well, he'll have it now.
Best clothes that child had in his whole life, just to be buried in.
Well, he shouldn't have died.
What gets born gets to die, and who's to say when?
Well, I think we've got a lot to say about that, Miss Kate. I'm sure the good Lord wants us to do everything we can to help ourselves. That boy should have been taken to a doctor.
Folks in these parts don't have much cash for doctors.
Well, there should be a hospital in these parts.
A what?
A hospital. There are 30,000 people in Gwinnett County, and there isn't a hospital for any of them. Miss Kate, will you do a favor for me?
You want me to charge these clothes?
No, I'll pay for them. But I'd like you to do something else, though. I'd like you to ask everyone you know to come to the schoolhouse tomorrow night.
Got something on your mind, Mr. Hull?
On my conscience. Talk to as many people as you can. I'd appreciate that.
All right.
Well, quite a few of us showed up at the schoolhouse. Our people are proud, and they can be mighty touchy, too. But Dick Hull didn't press or force anything.
And we don't want this boy's death to have been in vain. There'll be other children. There'll be more sickness. Let's give them a chance to live. But we need a hospital here in Duluth, where a mother can come to have a baby, where a father can bring a sick child.
We need a lot of things.
Well, most things can wait, Mr. Corley. This ought to come first.
You better look around, Mr. Hull. No rich people in this room. What you're talking about takes an awful lot of money.
I know it's going to take money, Mr. Hurd, and I'll start it off. I'll give $20 a month for the next 6 months to see if we can make a go of it.
What do you want from us?
Anything you can give, no more.
I can afford to give $10. I'll scrape it together.
Each month.
Yeah.
Might bid at $10.
You can count on me for $10.
Oh, thank you, Miss Kate. Well, come on, folks, speak up. 20, 10, 5, $1, 50 cents, anything you can afford.
Well, I reckon I can afford to give $5.
Thank you, Mr. Hurd.
Oh, Mr. Hull, now most of us folks hardly have any money at all. Will you take work?
Work? You bet we will, Mamie. Work's as important as money.
Well, then put me down for a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe you can count on me for a couple of dollars.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Corley.
Hey, that's a wonderful job he's doing there, isn't it? Yeah. I like to... Nothing. In terms of building hospitals, we raised nothing.
$80 in cash. A few $100 more in promises.
We tried.
Tried? Past tense?
What are we going to do, dear?
Keep trying. I'm going to write to my father.
It was probably the most important letter ever sent from Duluth. Up in Detroit, Nora's father, A.R. Clancy, is a big man among big men. He started as a hard rock miner and was a top executive by the time he was 38. He was the man who had produced the Pontiac automobile, and he was as rough as the bolts that went into that car. He had a mind that moved with assembly line logic. But he had a weakness. He loved people. This night, Mrs. Clancy was smiling a tantalizing smile.
What does that smile mean, my dear?
Nothing?
And what does nothing mean?
Nora writes a very beautiful letter, doesn't she? I was quite moved when I read about the struggle her little town is having. How they've all banded together in a crusade for a hospital. Were you touched by the letter?
Touched? Yes, in a manner of speaking. I'm going to take a walk before I turn in.
Mail your answer to Nora?
You seem to know something. Hey, you snitched my letter.
I did.
That is a federal offense, punishable
By many years of marriage. Dear Nora, your mother and I
Marriage or no marriage, I'm liable to have you arrested.
We were deeply moved by the story of what your little town is trying to do.
Well, I can try to encourage them, can't I? Give me my letter.
We're sending $500 now to help get things started. And every year we'll send more on the birthday of your little sister Joan, who died of pneumonia 17 years ago. Because the drugs which might have saved her were not known then. We make this gift in memory of her. You've never forgotten Joan, have you, dear?
In the 17 years, I don't think a day has passed that I haven't thought of her.
Mail it.
Why don't you come with me? With Mr. Clancy's help, we started to help ourselves. We gathered like a small army one morning and went forth to battle. It was the beginning of a long struggle. A long struggle.
Mr. Hurd, I'd appreciate your mailing this for me.
Well, glad to, Miss Kate. Must be important to hand it to the postmaster himself.
It's to Mr. Clancy. I've informed him the first baby was born in our hospital.
And I assume you also informed him that the little dear was named Clancy Jones?
Of course.
Very diplomatic. Oh, here's a letter I just wrote myself. Mr. Clancy, we, the citizens of Duluth, Georgia, find ourselves wondering, sir, if you'd mind if we called it the Joan Clancy Memorial Hospital.
I don't think he'd mind at all.
One of our good ladies found an inscription, which now will read, to Joan Clancy, who in swift transition achieved eternal springtime. This hospital is dedicated, in the hope that through it, the lives of other children may be enriched. With deepest respect, I remain your servant, Hurd Summerhour. Yeah. They're after me. They're after me. It's a planned campaign, and you can bet that Dick and Nora are behind the whole thing.
Well, I think they're being very sweet.
You do, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then let's go.
Go where?
Duluth, Georgia. Anything that's got Joan's name on it, I want to see. Hello? It didn't work out right then. The phone call was from Washington. Instead of heading for Duluth, A.R. Clancy was being sent to England to help step up tank production. He became General Clancy, fighting a big war with big machinery. Some time slipped by, and then General Clancy finally arrived in Duluth by way of a lot of important detours.
And so all through the war, Nora, I kept thinking of this little town. Took a long time, but here I am. Now, where's that hospital?
There it is, Father.
Well, I don't see any hospital. Where is it?
You're looking at it. That building there.
That's the Joan Clancy Memorial Hospital.
Got full rooms.
Well, congratulations. How many beds does it have?
2.
2 wards.
2 beds.
And there are 30,000 people in the county?
2 hospital beds more than they ever had.
Well, that's not good enough.
Why? Because it doesn't look like a New York medical center? It's got heart, and it's our hospital. For rich or poor, black or white. For those who can pay with money, or a basket full of eggs or work. Or for those who can pay nothing.
The sentiment is fine, honey, but the hospital is not good enough.
It's the best we can do, Father.
And that's not good enough either.
Not fair of you to talk like that.
It's fair for me to talk like that because I intend to do something about it. I couldn't during the war, but I can now. Come on, Nora. The sooner I start, the better.
The word soon to General Clancy meant getting started 10 minutes ago, retroactive of yesterday. His mind moved like a jet and occasionally made just as much noise.
Well, I'm glad to meet the staff, all two of you. Well. Huh? 4 rooms, eh?
2 beds.
Uh-huh. I suppose a lot of you folks are wondering why I called a meeting here at this hospital.
Well, we're very grateful to you, General Clancy, for helping us build a hospital, but we did wonder why you called a meeting here.
What's your name?
I'm Mamie Howell.
Well, Mamie, take a good look around you, and the rest of you can too, because this place is not going to be here very much longer. I have a proposition to make, and I want you all to listen to me.
We're listening, Father.
What's your proposition, General? Buy yourself a tract of land, 15 or 20 acres, and then dig a deep well on it for an adequate supply of water. Put the land in shape. 3 things now. Buy yourself the land, provide water, put it in shape, and I'll build you a hospital. I'll build you the finest small-town hospital in the country.
Oh, Father.
Thank you, General. Thank you. Thank you, General.
We will return to Cavalcade Theater right after tonight's story of DuPont Chemistry. This is a story about the Nova Products Company of Newark, Delaware, a real business run entirely by boys and girls of high school age. They set themselves up to manufacture and sell a product of their own choosing, to learn through actual experience how American business operates. Let's meet the president of Nova Products, Randy Lindell.
Our company is part of a national organization called Junior Achievement. Through it, business and industry sponsor more than 2,500 companies, run entirely by teenagers, and guided and helped by local businessmen. Mr. Tom Worrell, our business advisor, is with the DuPont Company, and so is our production advisor, Mr. Garland Truitt. Our sales advisor, Mr. George Smith, is with the Chrysler Corporation. These men attend all our meetings and give us their advice whenever we ask for it. This is Kay Galt, our production manager.
Last year, we began the school term making these Christmas corsages, and for 3 months, we did very well. But when the holidays were over, our market was gone. And since every junior achievement company is set up to run a full school year, we had to find a new product to manufacture. We held a meeting and considered many possibilities, but the one that appealed to us most was to manufacture house markers like these, custom-made with the owner's name. We knew we could rent power tools, and a little research and experimenting convinced us that we could produce good quality markers that we could sell at a competitive price. Experience with the Christmas corsage had already taught us that a product has to meet and beat competition in both price and quality. But there was one small hitch. Because our signs were custom-made, we had to get advance orders so that we could control our production. So we started concentrating on sales, and at the end of the year, we wound up with a neat profit and a nice dividend for our stockholders, the people in our community who invested in our business.
If you know any young people in your community who'd like to learn how to start and run a business, get in touch with your local Junior Achievement Program, or write to Junior Achievement Incorporated, 345 Madison Avenue, New York 17, New York. On a much larger scale, DuPont faces many of the same problems encountered by junior achievement companies. And DuPont tackles them in much the same way, too. Through research, through improved production methods, and through customer service. And like these junior achievement companies, working to bring their customers as much value as possible, DuPont is constantly working toward the same goal, to bring you better things for better living through chemistry. And now, back to Cavalcade Theater.
How'd the meeting go, Father?
Oh, it went nowhere. I spent 2 months down here, and what have they done? They got hold of the land, and they do nothing about it.
Labor's scarce, Father. This is specialized work. They're very special people.
And what does that mean?
These are a proud people, General. They have to be talked to softly and handled with care.
I talk to them softly. It just comes out a little hard, that's all. I want to get things done. I want to accomplish something.
Be patient, Father.
I can't be patient. I don't give two hoots and a holler about grown-ups. What happens to them is partly their own fault. My soft spot is babies and helpless children. Some of them are sick and dying. Why can't they fix up that land so I can build the hospital?
It's possible you're rubbing the people of this town the wrong way.
I'm not a diplomat. I'm a blunt man. I prefer truth to tact.
Now, dear, you can't expect these people to have streamlined Detroit efficiency just because you want them to.
And now I have to fight my own family. Is that it? You say these people are proud. Perhaps there's a little resentment in their attitude. Well, if that's true, I'm heading right back north.
Oh, Father, you wouldn't do that.
Wouldn't I? Well, someday you may get up and find yourself missing a father.
Everything's normal. Don't worry yourself too much.
Things weren't quite as simple as Mrs. Clancy thought they were. The people didn't go to the general, and General Clancy didn't go to the people. It was the Cold War, and each day it got a little colder. Things were pretty much beyond fixing. Those crickets. They're going to drive me crazy. You know that, don't you?
Relax, dear.
Relax. That's all I've been doing for weeks. Relaxing. The whole town is relaxed. Nobody comes to see me. That's how relaxed they are. What do they want? Do you know?
Dear, I think I know what the people in Duluth want. Are you interested in knowing?
I know what you want. You want me to go to them. Listen. Did you hear something?
Sounds like singing.
Yeah. It is singing. It was Mamie Howell and some of the people from her church. They knew that relations were strained, and this was their way of trying to end the Cold War. They didn't waste time with words. Maybe they didn't trust them. They just sang.
That was for you, General Clancy.
Thank you, Mamie. Thank you.
You know, singing soothes the spirit and uplifts the heart, General Clancy. Sometimes it's better than words. Well, because of the Joan Clancy Memorial Hospital, human life has been wasted just a little less than before. Now, a sick person will come to Nurse Pryor and Dr. Kane, and they don't ask, are you rich or are you poor? They just say, what hurts you? General Clancy, you've done more for this community than anyone. And you're a stranger who came to us. So I'd like to say this. Maybe they did put stars on your shoulders when you was wearing that fine general's uniform. But that ain't nothing, General. Because later on, they're going to put stars on your crown. We thank Mrs. Clancy, too. Sure do. Won't you ask General Clancy to say something to her?
You wait just a moment. He'll speak to you.
It was just as though Mamie took the general's hand and then took the people's hand and put them together. Nobody smoked any pipe of peace, but things began to get done. Ditches were filled, the ground leveled, grass and dogwood trees were planted, And then the great day came. We had our hospital, the Joan Clancy Memorial Hospital, a building of brick and glass and steel. It had an operating room, a dental office, nurses' quarters, a fine laboratory, a doctor's house, and every gadget in the world to make the birth of a child easier and safer. There wasn't just one nurse now, there were 11. And half the doctors in the county brought their patients in. It was a miracle of miracles, the pride of our lives. But it brought another problem. A hospital is a mighty expensive proposition. It costs money to run. That money's going out. Not everybody could pay, so there was very little coming in. The fact is, the hospital was losing $4,000 a month, and it was losing it right out of General Clancy's pocket. Once again, General Clancy put his mind to a problem. He came up with a plan to help finance the hospital, a business and a factory to house that business. A $500,000 factory to support a $250,000 hospital. It gave a lot of work to a lot of people, and Duluth prospered. Behind all of it was the Clancy energy and know-how. He worked things out with the manufacturers. He machine-tooled Mac Pittard into his own style and methods. They were a great team. Then one day he made Mac Pittard the manager and just walked out. He didn't walk very far, though, just as far as the hospital. And of all his accomplishments, the hospital was the pride of the General's life. You could find him there most every night.
What's his name?
His name is Henrietta.
Oh.
That'll be all.
Nurse, what's all the rush around here tonight?
We're expecting 3 more babies before midnight.
Oh, we just can't get it running smoothly, can we?
I'm afraid I don't understand you, General.
Baby production. One day, 6 babies come bawling off the assembly line, another time only 1. We can only get a smooth, manageable production.
I wouldn't worry about it, General, if I were you. There are some things in this world that defy efficiency and scheduling.
The Joan Clancy Memorial Hospital has brought over 4,000 babies into the world. And it's a pretty steady business, even though it might seem to the General a bit erratically planned at times. There were white babies, colored babies, fat ones, thin ones, laughing babies, crying babies, healthy babies. He built the hospital, he built the factory, and he's rebuilding the town. They don't know it yet, those helpless little ones, but they will someday. And he did it all for them. The big man. And his weakness, the very little people.